Alright, so today's update is going to be while we are on our walk. If you can see Faulkner and Lolly. I thought today I'd just kind of go over what I've seen over the past few days. It's kind of a huge project, to be honest with you, and it can be difficult to know where to start, which is why I imagine a lot of people don't often help that much. Not because they're awful, shitty people, but because there's so much to do that it's really difficult to figure out where to even start. So, we've been working towards getting some plants planted and trying to get people fed. I think it's ridiculous that we pay Kroger for fresh produce when it literally grows out of the ground here. Yesterday or the day before, we picked mulberries and harvested some of them. We've got cantaloupes and zucchini and 50 million other things. Just another helicopter flying right over. Tons of them. Mainly because there are no rural hospitals. And they're just these interesting little, I call them tumors of the system. Weird mutations that I can't tell whether they were, specifically engineered or whether or not. Lolly, out of the street. God almighty. Whether they are engineered or whether they just happen. Whether we set up these systems and when money is the motivator and the only motivator, you get these weird little oddities. So I'll give you an example of one I just found out about the other day. So the doctors at all the hospitals here, while they do great work, the developers who are a part of it couldn't give a jizz about where people live, how long they lived there, whether or not they own the house, whether or not, their families lived there for 2 centuries. So they buy up all the residencies around town. And nobody could quite figure out what it was. I always kind of wondered about it. It turns out that several years ago, when doctors were working downtown and living downtown, they got robbed all the time. They'd be identified as doctors or nurses and end up getting robbed and targeted just for that. Well, they all moved out to the suburbs. But here's the problem. As Mila puts it, you can't be on call 2 hours away from a surgery room. Your patient will die. It defeats the purpose of it. So what they do is all of these hospitals are buying up the real estate around town so that the doctors who've been not just a part of white flight, but a legitimate concern with people getting robbed all the time, but the hospitals are buying up the homes so that the doctors, when they are on call, can bring their whole families out to Memphis and stay in that house. The irony being that it just fuels gentrification, displaces people, makes housing incredibly difficult to come by in Memphis, unless you're willing to go to West Birchfield or one of these other slumlord pieces of shit who charges a fortune and then kicks people out the same week. And I don't think many people are up for it. So, stuff like that. I feel like progress is being made. Constance Abbey, things seem to be coming together. If you feel like giving money to Constance Abbey, you can go to their website and contribute using PayPal or click the donate here button. That's the only place where I know money is getting used correctly. There are a couple of agencies that don't even exist and received tens of thousands of dollars in aid from the aid package that Steve Cohen brought back. So I'm still investigating how many of those are real or not and how much of that money just went down the pisser. I don't know that anybody will ever do anything about it, but we'll see. Anyways, I'm using my new phone that was sent by a patron. They upgraded and gave me theirs since mine was running out of a battery every 5 minutes, like literally 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm very grateful to Jeremy and Lacey. I'm going to do some cool stuff with this, I can promise you that. Today we picked up some recycling. You can see the pictures on Facebook, or I'll try to put them up on Instagram under Starving Arts Memphis as well. If you have any ideas about how to address these 50 billion problems, please give me a shout. Luckily, it looks like the agriculture stuff isn't going to be that big of an issue. There are something called community agricultural support groups that basically farm and provide fresh produce to you for a set fee There's one in South Memphis with Brittany Thornton, and I don't know where Kimberly Mitchell's is located out of, but they both seem to be doing amazing work. Alpha and Omega, which is a veterans group, also does some cool stuff. Check out their website, and it's all for veterans, so there's that too. Anyways, until I talk to you again, stay safe, stay healthy.